You call that a Blu-ray? Now that's a Blu-ray.
G'day guys, just Rob here again, just bringing you another video. I thought I might perhaps do something perhaps a little bit different today. Some of you might remember, I think it was probably a month or two ago, I went on a bit of a hunt to try and find some shark movies, and so I've sort of bought all the Jaws movies and sort of watched them. I'd actually sort of spend a bit more time and actually sort of watch some more, another probably over 10 I think it is, 10 or 12. So I thought I might perhaps just make a bit of a video just about the ones I've sort of seen. Not necessarily reviews I guess, but perhaps just more me perhaps just sort of talking about them I guess. It's not really like a top 10 or, you know, the best or worst or anything like that, it's just the ones I've sort of watched, because it's like, I'm pretty sure there's like tons and tons out there, probably hundreds probably out there that have been made. And I've only sort of watched, you know, a small percentage I guess. So I thought I might just talk about some of the ones I've seen. Okay, so probably the first movie to talk about would have to be Deep Blue Sea, which came out in 1999. I think it's just one that's a bit of a, I wasn't supposed to say like a landmark film, but I think it's one that sort of re-kicked the, you know, sort of remaking shark movies again. So essentially that's about, I'm sure a lot of people have seen it, but I think it's about, they sort of, scientists have made like an underground water facility, and they're sort of doing tests on sharks to, I think it's to solve, I think it's to do with Alzheimer's disease. So they built the fitness facility, and they're sort of, you know, doing experiments on them, and of course they make the sharks a lot smarter. So then of course, you know, the sharks sort of, you know, break free and eventually sort of end up sort of flooding the facility. Actually quite a good movie. It was a bit cheesy, and some of the CGI was a bit off, and it was a fairly decent movie. If you don't perhaps, you know, think too much into it. It had, you know, Samuel L. Jackson in it, and, you know, decent acting and okay storyline I guess. Similar idea I suppose to Jaws 3 I guess, with that, you know, had like a theme park, didn't they, and then sort of underwater theme park, and you know, the same sort of thing happened again. You know, the sharks get smarter and end up sort of, you know, flooding the facility. Next one probably would be, I think it's like a trilogy called Shark Attack. I think there's like Shark Attack 1. I think it's called Shark Attack 1 Malibu. I think it's called. It was essentially about it's set up like a beach and a lifeguard tower, and I think it's like an earthquake which releases these prehistoric sharks, you know, back to the surface again, and they've got these sort of huge, big sort of snouts, sort of noses on them. And yeah, the earthquake, and then of course the earthquake sort of causes a tsunami, I think. So eventually the, you know, whole beach gets flooded, and there's like things like 4 or 5 people that get sort of trapped in like a lifeguard tower, and the sharks are trying to break in from the bottom, and then of course they manage to get away from get out of the lifeguard tower, and then eventually they make it into, I think, some sort of building, and they have a similar sort of scene in perhaps in the Deep Blue Sea, where they have the sharks sort of, you know, swimming through the corridors, you know, which is a bit, I think, perhaps a little bit far-fetched. Then you got Shark Attack 2, which was about, what was that one about? There's like pretty much a direct rip-off of Jaws 3D. It's like a theme park, and yeah, they eventually get a a great white shark. I think they catch it and bring it in, and, you know, try to keep it in the facility. But I think in real life, I don't think they can actually keep a white porno, because they get restless and start to sort of bash their heads against the walls basically. So I think in real life you can't have her. So I think the trouble before, sharks don't seem to like it, you know, sort of being kept in captivity. So yeah, it's not for that one. Just, yeah, there's like a theme park, and eventually of course the scientists, the head sort of animal trainer, he sort of doesn't want to bring in a white pointer, but the, you know, people that are, you know, that run the theme park sort of want to make money, so they, you know, sort of go against his wishes, and eventually, you know, of course people, you know, shark attacks and kills lots of people, and it's pretty good. Then you got Shark Attack 3. I think it's called MEGLADON, I think it is, which is probably pretty awful, probably one of the worst ones. It seemed like it was made in 2004, but it was very 80s, and even like the title credits are all sort of 80s, sort of funny blue sort of coloured, very 80s looking. Also, it's got Jack Harkness from Torchwood TV show. He's starring in it. I think he's the only one that sort of can sort of act in it. But yeah, it just had really sort of bad acting and really bad. I think it had like a sort of voiceover. I think some of the dialogue seemed to be a bit sort of post-recorded and yeah, definitely definitely was probably the worst one I've had a lot. I think. And another one was called I think it's TINTORERA, I think, which I think roughly translates to tiger shark. I think. Wasn't really, wouldn't look us as your typical sort of shark movie. I think it was set in 1977, I think it was, and it's more about these two guys and a girl that sort of have a bit of a, I guess a bit of a threesome, I suppose. They sort of have like a relationship, like a three-person relationship, I guess. They sort of have like a make love to each other and yes, there's a bit of shark action in it, I guess. It's got, I think it's like a very sort of 70s sort of hippie type thing, threesomes and like full frontal nudity and you see guys' bums and but essentially the two guys basically just sort of go fishing or shark fishing and sort of get spears and sort of spear all these sharks and I think there's like a roe shark, I suppose. He starts to attack the three of them and so. But yeah, it was very. I think it was like half in Italian and half in English, and it was a film. Wasn't too bad, I suppose. I think there's a few different versions of it. I think I watched like the full blown 2-hour version of it, which I think they could have cut out a lot of the little extra stuff in there. They could have really got rid of. It wasn't a bad movie though. I didn't think though. It wasn't all that much shark action. I think it was very sort of slow shark action too. A lot of sort of stalking and. Wasn't lots of gore, I suppose. It was more sort of, quietly the shark would sort of sneak up to them and, attack them and sort of, pick them off one by one. But it was definitely a good movie. I thought. Apart from that, it was very it's sort of movie they couldn't make today because there's a lot of essentially it was just sort of had like sharks and tanks and they were just spearing them. It must have speared like probably at least 4 or 5 in the movie. God knows how many they sort of speared actually making the movie, and they sort of speared fish and I think they even sort of had like a turtle and sort of cut its head and legs off and sort of dragged it behind a boat so they could try and track the shark. Definitely something you couldn't make today because there's very sort of a lot of animal cruelty in that, I think. Probably the worst one I saw was one called SHARKTOPUS, which you can probably, as you imagine, it's basically a shark and an octopus sort of fused together in the one body. And that was pretty awful. Really bad CGI, and the SHARKTOPUS can sort of walk on land and it was sort of fun, cheesy, I suppose. I think it's a Roger Corman film. Essentially, it's about I think it's like a father and daughter team, and I think they sort of making this creature to sort of, I think it's for the government, like a weapon or something, and they have like a collar or something. It's got sort of like a metal thing on its back that sort of they can sort of control it using that. But of course the SHARKTOPUS gets hit by a boat, and the transformer thingy sort of falls off. So eventually that sort of swims by itself and starts to, attack people on the beach and like you sort of walk up on the beach and attack them. It was a really good sort of cheesy sort of movie, I guess. That. Another one was called I think it was Two-Headed Shark, which you imagine it has two heads. That was pretty bad too. It was good. It was good. Probably the sort of better sort of fun ones, I suppose. They were sort of fun to watch. Bad. Had was it Brooke Hogan in it, which is the daughter of Hulk Hogan, obviously. She wasn't too bad in it. Lots of large-breasted women in it, in bikinis and stuff. That was quite good. Just it didn't make a whole lot of sense. Like it sort of seemed to jump from one scene to another. Essentially, it's about like a group of college kids that are on I think it's like a semester on a boat studying marine life. The boat sort of gets hit by something and they have to make repairs to it. So while the captain's sort of underwater, with the blowtorch sort of fixing up the hull, the group of kids sort of go on land and I think they try and find scrap metal. I think it is, and it's really bad, really bad sort of idea. It's good fun, I suppose, though. Then there's one called Sand Shark, which, as you can imagine, is about a shark that can sort of swim through the sand, which is pretty stupid. That also stars Brooke Hogan in it as well. Came before Two-Headed Shark, and she got some fairly decent acting in that one. That's pretty bad. I think it's about a guy that he's trying to make a rock festival, I suppose. It's kind of like the college kids sort of have, like, you know, Burning Man, or in Australia we have one called Schoolies Week. And there's also one called Swamp Shark as well, which you can imagine, shark in a swamp. That's pretty bad as well. Probably one of the start with some of the better ones now. The Reef, which is probably one of the sort of best one I've probably seen. It's about a group of people that are on I think it's like a yacht, and they sort of hit a reef, and big huge hole in the bottom of the hull, so the yacht sort of capsizes, and so I'm not quite sure whether they should sort of stay on top of the boat, wait for help, or sort of swim to shore. I think it was just, yeah, it was a really, really good movie though, really sort of suspenseful, on the edge of your seat type stuff, and lots of you're sort of engrossed in it, because it's a lot of, you sort of think, well, you know, what would I do in that situation? Would I sort of stay on the boat and wait for help, or like try and swim to shore, or, because I think they, had the two options, I guess, stay on the boat, but the boat was sort of starting to, they weren't sure if it was going to stay afloat, you know, how long it was going to stay afloat for, and it was eventually sort of getting pulled out by the tide, I think, as well, because further away from land. Or the other idea was perhaps to swim to shore, but they couldn't sort of see the island where they were going to swim to, but I think it was only going to take a few hours to get there. It's just, yeah, really good, suspenseful, and when she's trying to swim slowly without sort of getting, you know, not quite sure where the sharks are, and I think it's more about them sort of being a lot more paranoid, I think, really, than actual. I think if they'd sort of just didn't really worry about sharks and just sort of swum for it, they would have made it. But because they were sort of so worried about the sharks, they were sort of going real slow, and they sort of stopped every few minutes to sort of, you know, make sure there's no sort of sharks around. And from what I hear, it's actually based on a true story. I think 1983, there was, I think it's two guys and a girl on a boat, and it capsized, and they in the water. And I think the one guy got his leg bitten off, and he sort of said, "Well, I'm sort of done for, so I'll sort of sacrifice myself a little bit." And so he sort of went off and, you know, swam towards the shark. The other two sort of got away, but I think like an hour or two later, the shark came back again and took the female, and then a few hours again it came back again and almost got the last guy. But I think he was very close to shore by then and managed to get rescued. So I guess these things do happen. It'd be pretty horrible though. So, yeah, being in water, you know, surrounded by sharks, and yeah, it'd be not a very nice experience, I don't think. Very similar to the one called Open Water, which I think came out a few years before. That was a bit lower budget, again based on a true story. About a pair of, I think it was they're on like a tourist boat, and they sort of go scuba diving, and they people on the boat sort of miscount, and so they're still underwater while the you know, tourist boat goes back, because I think they've got all the people in the boat, and they sort of get stuck out there overnight. Probably the last one I probably mentioned is one called 12 Days of Terror, which I thought was pretty good. Based on a true story again. I think it's basically Jaws sort of set back in 1916, which I think was actually, where the guy had sort of written the original Jaws book. I think that's sort of where he got the idea from originally. And that wasn't too bad. It wasn't perhaps a whole lot of, perhaps a bit more storyline than actual shark action. A similar sort of Jaws storyline, I suppose, though. Attacks the beach, and it ends up sort of swimming up a freshwater sort of river as well, up closer into mainland, and attacks a few people up there as well. So, but that's actually quite good. Sort of, I think you could tell it was like a plastic sort of shark. It had sort of very similar sort of Jaws, sort of plastic sort of shark type action. That was a decent sort of storyline, and so it was actually quite good. Yes, that's my little talk about shark movies, I guess. Therefore, it's not really a top 10 or anything, just sort of ones that I sort of watched. I think I've got a few more perhaps to watch. Might download a couple more and watch them. I think there's one called, I think I've heard probably the best one I've heard, is one called Jaws of Terror, which I haven't actually sort of seen. But just someone sort of they can perhaps, I don't know, leave a comment down below, I guess. But yeah, that's it. Hope you enjoyed me rambling on about shark movies for a while. Till next time, I'll see you later. Bye.